Hey, what's up? I'm Darkbblue, trying to help everyone enjoy games in depth. Welcome back to our Elden Ring walkthrough guide. In this video, we'll finish the remaining content of the base game, at the same time shifting our mechanic focus from combat to build theory crafting. After defeating Blackblade, you will be automatically teleported to the Ancient Capital. You'll need to find your way to the previous Phantom Godfrey arena. Now this is the arena for Sir All-Knowing, who can be easily defeated with Giant Hound.
I knew you'd come to stand before the Elden Ring, to become Elden Lord. It's a sad state of affairs. I commend your spirit.
Next, it's time for the real Godfrey. For this fight, you can dual-wield Greatsword and Blasphemous Blade, equipping Raptor of the Mist on your right-hand weapon. In the initial phase, Godfrey's move is highly similar to Phantom Godfrey. After losing around 1/4 HP, he will use a set move, X-Swing, then Stomp, and finally Explosion. All three hits from this set move can be tackled with Raptor of the Mist, followed by 3 jump attacks. Then there will be another set move, a slow motion charged Stomp. You can jump attack once during the charging window and use Raptor of the Mist once upon the hit. I believe the 2 set moves are enough for you to deal enough damage to bring Godfrey into phase 2. In phase 2, the initial set move is a grab attack. You can retreat to evade it and land a jump attack. Then he will use a leaping landmine attack. The initial roar has no damage, so you don't need to evade it. Simply dodge roll the landing attack and then use Raptor of the Mist twice for the landmine setup hit and explosion hit. Note that the interval between setup hit and explosion hit are relatively long compared to other set moves. Finally, he will use another set move, which is a 2-hit charged AoE attack. You can jump attack once during the charging window, and then use Raptor of the Mist twice upon the 2 hits. All in all, since Godfrey has really many set moves, which provide many chances to use Raptor of the Mist to land jump attacks, this will be an easy fight. Next, let's go fight Radagon, using exactly the same strategy. At combat start, Radagon has a set move, where he gradually raises the hammer. This window is enough for 2 jump attacks. Then, at around 2/3 HP, he will use a Stomp followed by a leaping attack, allowing for 2 Raptor of the Mist uses. Finally, at 1/3 HP, he will use a 3-hit successive strike, allowing for 3 Raptor of the Mist uses. Additionally, before the final hit, you can actively jump to land attack once, leading to 4 jump attacks in total. Then you need to fight Elden Beast. The initial set move provides you with a long window for attacking. After the initial move and into the random phase, our principle can be summarized into 2 points. First, if Elden Beast is still in the melee phase, do not ride your horse, just wait for it to come back at you. And 2, if Elden Beast is casting spells, you can ride your horse, which makes evasion very easy. One noticeable attack from this boss is Golden Wave. Commonly, this is used when you are riding to evade previous spells. You can exploit the dismounting iframe window to evade the first hit, tank the second hit, and dodge roll the third and the fourth hits. And if you really have trouble dodge rolling the 2 hits, you can also use Vow of Indomitable equipped on the shield instead. Additionally, since Elden Beast is a large enemy, Path Thread can deal decent amount of damage compared to regular attacks. After defeating the final boss, you can trade its Remembrance for Secret Relic Sword, which unlocks highly efficient rune farming. First upgrade it to +9 and prepare for the attribute requirements. This weapon requires both Faith and Dexterity. We have Faith already, but what about Dexterity? Do we need to really level up and invest into it? Not really. You can grab a Dexterity Talisman and a Dexterity Crystal Tier according to the wiki, which allows you to wield this sword without really investing into Dexterity. With preparation done, teleport to the entrance to the Blood Dynasty and use the sword skill against the crowd of Aberorics to gain lots of runes. Besides the Secret Relic Sword, a skill called Horolux's Earthshaker is also highly recommended, which can be traded with the Remembrance of Godfrey. This skill is dedicated to AoE and crowd control. Although this skill may seem to be very slow, it in fact has many damage level takes during the roaring phase, allowing it to stun weak foes. Now that we have enabled efficient rune farming and obtained the Bell Bearings that unlocks missing stone purchasing previously from Farum Azula, it's time to prepare for a few additional weapons. So what weapons do we need exactly? This question leads us to the mechanic topic of this video, build theory crafting. After so many videos covering almost the entire walkthrough of the base game, I believe we can achieve an important agreement. A build in Elden Ring is not a simple loadout dedicated for a certain attack type, such as the so-called skill build, jump attack build, or charge attack build. Instead, a build should be a collection of diverse gears with which you can flexibly make the most suitable loadout based on the upcoming fight. And personally, I don't like respecking. So by build theory crafting, I mean choosing a few gears within the limitation of a certain attribute level up plan, with the goal being covering as diverse strategies as possible. For example, we are playing a strength and faith build, so we can only use gears that suit our attributes, but still we need to achieve versatility. And naturally, we need to answer two questions: how to know if a weapon suits our attributes, and how to ensure enough versatility. Let's start with the first question. The answer is to check the scaling factors. Sombering weapons have fixed scaling factors, so this is very simple. For example, Blasphemous Blade and Crucible Tree Spear both have high strength and phase scaling factors, so they suit a strength and phase character. But with regular weapons, since you can change their affinity, things can be a bit more complicated. Let's divide the affinities into two types. For those that only redistribute scaling between strength and dexterity, you can notice that you can quite freely change the scaling factors. For example, even a great hammer can be made a dexterity weapon with keen and lightning affinities. Therefore, if you are playing a strength and dexterity only character, you don't really need to care about the scaling factors of regular weapons. However, if an affinity adds scaling with intelligence, faith, or arcane to a weapon, you will notice a certain scaling pattern with the weapon's strength and dexterity factors. For example, with Flame Art and Holy affinities, the Bastard Greatsword has a D scaling for strength and E scaling for dexterity, which cannot be changed, indicating it's a strength weapon. With the first question answered, let's consider how to ensure enough versatility. The most important thing here is to make sure you can use as many skills as possible. As you may or may not have noticed, a skill may not be socketable into all weapon types. For example, Stormblade cannot be socketed into Axes. Since Greatsword is the most skill-compatible weapon type, I choose it for our walkthrough. Then you can consider two additional factors. Does a weapon have high stance damage? Hammers tend to deal more stance damage. And can a weapon be dual-wielded with a Sombering weapon? You may want to use a regular weapon of the same type as one of your Sombering weapons. However, you should always place skill diversity at the first place. Do not sacrifice it too much for the two additional factors. So based on the analysis above, you can notice that our Bastard Greatsword already has enough skill diversity and can be dual-wielded with different Sombering Greatswords. However, it's not compatible with Polearm skills and don't have high stance damage. Therefore, you can upgrade a Polearm weapon and a hammer-like weapon. To be specific, quite many halberds lean toward strength, such as Gargoyle Halberd and Night Rider's Glaive. Then you can use a Colossal Hammer, such as Giant Crusher, or if you just don't like Colossal Hammers, Great Hammers can be a good alternative. Then you might want to ask, why haven't we used the two weapons before? That's because we don't have enough smithing resources. Based on my experience, you can upgrade only two regular weapons during the new game run. Only with rune farming and infinite smithing stone purchasing unlocked can we upgrade additional regular weapons. Additionally, you can also upgrade a shield with 100% physical reduction. You can also upgrade any weapon you'd like to play with. Elden Ring is a game of freedom. Now it's time for Halictree. Before we start, buy a Sentry's Torch from the merchant inside the capital outer rampart. This torch can disable the invisibility of Black Knife assassins, and you don't really need to hold it. Putting it on your back can also trigger this effect. Then teleport to the Liturgical Town. There's a small puzzle. First, go down the stairs to defeat the Black Knife assassin and activate the first candle. Then you'll need to find a broken wall. With Assassin's Gambit activated, go up the rooftop via this wall and activate the second canal. Return to the broken wall and now locate a ladder nearby. This leads you to the third canal. Lastly, use Assassin's Gambit and activate the final canal. In the Helix tree, Assassin's Gambit is still very important. Into the Helix tree town, follow my route to get to the boss arena. Just like the previous Phantom Loretta, you can use Giant Hound for the real Loretta. Into the Electric City, Assassin's Gambit can still play an important role. For example, this room with 2 clean raw knives can be made super easy. Furthermore, you can go through the crossbow defense from the front side. You will then face a Rod Pound, which is a deep water area that makes you move slowly. You can use Bloodhound Step to get through. After activating the next grace, go to the Shallow Water Rod Pound to defeat the Tree Spirit. Then refresh the map to find 2 summoning signs. If you choose to help Millicent, you can get a stronger version of the Windsword Sigil. And if you choose to invade Millicent, you can instead get a successive attack talisman that can work together with Windsword Sigil. Usually, it's recommended that you help Millicent in New Game and invade her in New Game Plus. With the Millicent questline finished, let's go forward. Here you can loot a talisman that greatly increases your physical damage reduction, which is very useful. Then let's go to the Millennia Arena. Of course, I have skipped much content in this map. You can explore them by yourself if you'd like. Finally, we have Millennia, a very interesting boss. By saying interesting, I mean she can be staggered by most damage levels, which is not so common in other bosses. However, she also has many temporary hyper armors that give her damage level resistance. Both features combined, the strategy for Millennia is quite different from what we have used before. First, you can interrupt quite many attacks of hers instead of evading them. Generally, these are the attacks you can try to interrupt. When Millennia is in her free state, you can use jumping attack or sprint attack to interrupt her. When Millennia sidesteps to your left side, you can interrupt her slash, and her spark slash can also be interrupted. And second, each time you hit Millennia, you can make a combo rather than just one hit. However, Millennia tends to do evading after getting hit, which gives her strong hyper armor. Therefore, you have to make sure you are using stable combos such as spinning slash and the first 3 hits of Stormcaller. As supplementary information, Millennia will use a great backstab if she's knocked down too many times, breaking your stun locking. As a result, knockdown is not a recommended strategy for Millennia. Now into detailed strategies. During phase 1, most common attacks of Millennia can be evaded by dot rolling backward, with the only exception being Spark Slash, which should be evaded by rolling forward rather than backward. Now this exception makes the interaction very tough, as you need to quickly distinguish between Spark Slash and the other attacks, and luckily, there's one workaround. Wind Crystal Deer allows you to use light rolling for some time, and with light rolling, which covers longer distance than regular rolling, even Spark Slash can be evaded by rolling backward. In this way, you can simply roll backward mindlessly each time you see Millennia trying to attack you. Furthermore, once you hit Millennia creating a stagger, do not directly retreat. Instead, stay there and observe what she's gonna do. You may be able to interrupt her next attack in many cases. So that's all about the regular attacks. Next, let's talk about the most infamous special attack of Millennia, Waterfall Dams. My recommendation is Vow of Indomitable equipped on a 100% physical negation shield. Use the vowel once, block the remaining attacks, and do the vowel once again. It's just that simple. Into phase 2, there's a slight difference in our strategy for Malenia's regular attacks. This time, do not try to interrupt her in her free state, only do counterattacking. Then there can be 2 additional special moves. Looming, I believe it's very easy to dodge, and Clone Slash. Vowel once, block twice, then vowel twice. With the entire strategy as said above, you can defeat Malenia using many different weapons and skills. There's no need for a specific build or weapon. Now, this is my attributes after the fight. So far, we have completed the entire base game and learned all the important mechanics. If you want to play games into depth together with me, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, see you around.